and Eugene Scalia, Secretary of Labor. We're going to begin today's program with a very special stamp dedication from the United States Postal Service in honor of Lunar New Year. Here to talk more about the special stamp is Luke Grossman, the Senior Vice President of Finance and Strategy at the U.S. Postal Service. In this role, he is responsible for leading research and development and implementation of strategy, financial planning, and analysis for the Postal Service. He supports management and board-directed strategy development and financial analysis. Mr. Grossman is the highest-serving Asian American at the United States Postal Service. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Luke Grossman, SVP of Finance and Strategy.
Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Luke Grossman, and I'm the Senior Vice President for the United States Postal Service. 2 weeks ago, I had the honor of serving as a dedicating official for the stamp we're commemorating today, the Year of the Rat Stamp. I'm especially pleased to be here because it's another opportunity to celebrate my family's Asian heritage. When my grandfather emigrated from China 80 years ago, he brought with him many traditions, one of which is the Lunar New Year celebration. The Year of the Rat kicks off our new Celebrating Lunar New Year series, which will feature all 12 animal signs associated with the Chinese lunar calendar and run through 2031. It's actually part of our third series of stamps that commemorate the Lunar New Year. The first set started in 1996. The second began in 2008. They proved to be extremely popular over the years, and we are very proud of the intricate, beautiful designs. The artwork in our stamp features the color blue because it's considered lucky for those born in the Year of the Rat. The rat mask also incorporates symbols from the Chinese zodiac. The circle on the rat's forehead represents the new moon on which the Lunar New Year begins, while the crown-like motif between its ears highlights the importance of the animal's position as the first sign of the zodiac. Of course, we have the lucky color red, which helps to connect the design elements with other holiday decorations. I think you will agree when it's unveiled, everything comes together beautifully. It is a remarkable piece of artistry. As you add this stamp to your collection or use it to mail your Lunar New Year greetings, it is our sincere hope that the Year of the Rat brings you prosperity, peace, good luck, and much joy. Now, at this time, I am pleased to introduce the Honorable Robert M. Mike Duncan, Chairman of the Postal Service Board of Governors. In this role, Chairman Duncan helps oversee the board's actions to lay a vision and set policies to improve and strengthen the Postal Service. In addition, he is the current chairman of the President's Commission on White House Fellowships and served as Assistant Director of the White House Office of Public Liaison under President George H.W. Bush. We are grateful for Chairman Duncan for his leadership and engagement on Postal Service issues. We also appreciate his time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Happy New Year. It's great to be here today. It's a real honor being with you. And on behalf of the United States Postal Service, I want to thank Secretary Chow for inviting me personally today. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a great honor today. I hope all of you will join me in congratulating and thanking the commissioners of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. Please join me in thanking them and congratulating them. I see many old friends in this group today, and I know this is a very strong commission, and congratulations, Chairman Chu. At the Postal Service, we focus on bringing the nation together. That's one of the things we talk a lot about, binding the country together. Primarily, we do that through the delivery of mail and packages that we all see every day to every community in the country, 1.7 million addresses. But we also do that by celebrating and embracing our nation's diversity. The Postal Service has one of the nation's most diverse workforce. That includes more than 52,000 Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders that work for the U.S. Post Office. That's more than 8% of our total workforce. We also do that by using our popular stamps to honor and celebrate our nation's diverse cultural heritage. This stamp, reflecting the Lunar New Year, the year of the Golden Rat, is the latest example. The Postal Service is privileged to honor this important cultural tradition, and we look forward to featuring more as we continue our third series of stamps that commemorate the Lunar New Year. At this time, I'd like to invite Secretary Chow, Secretary Ross, Secretary Scalia, and Chairman Chu to join me and Luke for the unveiling of this stamp.
Thank you very much. That's incredible. Well, it's now my distinct honor to invite our next and our first speaker, Secretary Elaine L. Chao. Secretary Chao is currently the United States Secretary of Transportation. This is her second cabinet position. She served as U.S. Secretary of Labor from 2001 to January of 2009 and is the first Asian American woman to be appointed to the President's Cabinet in American history. Secretary Chao. Secretary Chao comes to the U.S. Department of Transportation with extensive experience in the transportation sector. Early in her career, she specialized in transportation financing in the private sector. She began her executive career in public service, working on transportation and trade issues at the White House. Since then, she served as Deputy Maritime Administrator at the U.S. Department of Transportation, Chairman of the Federal Maritime Commission, and Deputy Secretary of the United States Department of Transportation. As Secretary of Transportation, she is a strong advocate for safety and the importance of infrastructure and innovation in our nation's economic competitiveness and growth. Secretary Chao has a distinguished career in the public, private, and nonprofit sectors. An immigrant who arrived in America at the age of 8, speaking no English at all, she received her citizenship at the age of 19. Her experience transitioning to a new country has motivated her to devote most of her professional life to ensuring that everyone has the opportunity to build better lives for themselves and their families. As U.S. Secretary of Labor, she focused on increasing the competitiveness of America's workforce in a global economy, promoted job creation, and achieved records in workplace safety and health. Under her leadership, the Bureau of Labor Statistics started tracking Asian Pacific American employment as a separate category. And as many of you know, today, that employment rate is one of the lowest that we have ever had since we've started tracking this data. I can go on and on, but ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Secretary of Transportation, Elaine L. Chao. I just read what I see.
Thank you so much, Derek Hahn. We're so proud of your work in the Office of Management and Budget. You know, Derek used to be the third highest official at the U.S. Department of Transportation. He was the Undersecretary for Policy. But the President tapped Derek to be acting Deputy Director of OMB, where he's doing a great job for our country. So please give Derek Hahn a tremendous round of applause. We've got a special treat today because we are all here on the very special occasion to witness Vice President Michael Pence swearing in the commissioners of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I am so delighted to see my co-chair of the White House Initiative, Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross, and of course, the second best Secretary of Labor, Jean Scalia. Jean Scalia is doing a wonderful job, and we are so glad to welcome him into the cabinet. Secretary Ross, as you well know, has traveled many, many times to the Far East, and both of them are extraordinarily supportive of our community. So I'm delighted to be here with them. Please give them a round of applause. I'm going to give a premature congratulations to the new members of the White House Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, who will be sworn in temporarily when the Vice President comes. And my one word is, finally. You are all very, very special leaders within our community, and we want to work with you to ensure that you are broadcasting and promoting the values that we hold dear in our community, and also talk about the wonderful economic times that our country is going through. As Tina Way-Smith also mentioned, I do also want to mention Acting Deputy Commerce Secretary Karen Dunn Kelly, whose support at the direction of Secretary Wilbur Ross has been so essential to this White House initiative as well. This auspicious occasion, as you've just seen, is augmented by the unveiling of the new Lunar New Year Golden Wrap postage stamp by U.S. Postal Service Director Michael Duncan. The unveiling of a new stamp on the occasion of Lunar New Year has become a popular annual rite for the Asian Pacific American community. Stamps honor great historical figures from American history, and they help celebrate important achievements and iconic events that have made our country what it is today. Lunar New Year, one of the most important Asian holidays, is now among the cultural touchstones included and celebrated in this very special way. And it is an example of the diversity that makes our country so unique in the world. Today, Asian Pacific Americans are one of the fastest growing ethnic groups in our country, accounting for 7% of the population, or about 23 million people. As our presence in mainstream America grows, awareness of the contributions of Asian Pacific Americans is growing as well. Last May 2019, it was especially poignant for me as the Secretary of Transportation to be at the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike ceremony at Promontory Point, Utah. I was there to commemorate finally the historic contributions of the 12,000 or so Chinese laborers who made the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad possible. The Transcontinental Railroad was one of the most important infrastructure projects of our country. It connected this vast continent from east to west and enabled America on the path of this tremendous economic development to this economic powerhouse that we are today. The President paid tribute to these workers. Many descendants of the Chinese workers were there in Utah that day, and they were deeply moved that their ancestors' contributions were finally recognized at the highest levels of our government. Today, our community is contributing to every facet of mainstream America. The unemployment rate for Asian Americans is an all-time low of 2.5%. And this is a result of hard work and the value that our community places on education. In fact, approximately 61% of all Asian Pacific Americans in the workforce have a bachelor's degree or higher. And yet, the advancement of Asian Pacific Americans into top leadership positions still lags behind others. And that is why the President established the Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The Commission, the initiatives, and the Commission's goal is to identify and remove the remaining obstacles to the advancement of Asian Pacific Americans and Pacific Islanders. And that is also why this administration has affirmed the principle that access to higher education must respect merit and not diminish those who have sacrificed, invested in themselves, and achieved academic excellence. So let me say that again. This is very important. And that is why this administration has affirmed the principle that access to higher education must respect merit and not diminish those who have sacrificed, invested in themselves, and achieved academic excellence. This is an important issue for Asian Pacific Americans and their families who place such a high value on education. Lastly, I have to put a plug in for transportation. We have recently, just in coordination with the White House, prepared AV 4.0. It's entitled Ensuring American Leadership in Automated Vehicle Technologies. This new policy guideline integrates AV policy across the entire federal government. It emphasizes safety and security. It emphasizes innovation, and it promotes consistent policymaking to reduce confusion and contradictions in this country's AV policy. So thank you so much again for being here. Congratulations in advance to the commissioners. Thank you for what you're doing for our country and for your willingness to serve. And to my fellow cabinet members, this is truly a historic day. I don't think there's ever been an occasion in which a swearing in of commissioners have ever occurred with the Vice President and 3 cabinet officers. Okay. See here? And now, Derek, you want to come on up and carry out your duties?
Great. Well,
thanks. Want me to do it? Derek is very kind. I've got a huge, huge thing for you. Okay. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. Now it's my very great pleasure and honor to introduce the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. I'm going to say more nice things about you. We are so delighted to have the Vice President with us. The Vice President has a distinguished career serving our country, first as a member of Congress from Indiana for 6 terms, and then as governor of Indiana. The Vice President is a strong advocate for economic growth, job creation, and ensuring that everyone has access to opportunity so they can build better lives for themselves and their families. He is a great supporter of the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. The Vice President and the Second Lady are people of faith. I have traveled with them to recovery sites of natural disasters and seen their leadership and compassion in action. Please join me in welcoming the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence. Thank you so much.
Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. Well, thank you all very much for that very warm welcome. And on behalf of the President of the United States and the First Family, welcome to the White House. And join me in thanking an extraordinary leader. I just, as soon as I heard her voice, I had to jump out from behind the curtain. She is not only the 18th Secretary of Transportation, but frankly, she is one of the most distinguished public servants in the United States of America with an inspiring personal story, and she makes the American people in this administration proud every day. Join me in thanking Secretary Len Chao, will you? Thank you. Thank you so much, Elaine. I'm also joined today, I know they've already been introduced, but I have to call them out. We're talking a lot about the economy and a lot about all the great things happening, and you all are such a big part of that in so many ways, so many places around the country. But President Trump and I are so grateful for the tremendous leadership of Secretary of Commerce Wilbur Ross. Wilbur, thank you so much, and thank you for being here. And he's a new kid on the block, or the new kid on the cabinet, but he's already hit the ground running, and he's making an incredible difference to make sure that the American people are prepared for this growing economy. We're able to have safe and productive workplaces and to do it all in an atmosphere of freedom. Secretary of Labor, Eugene Scalia, thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank Chairman Mike Duncan of the Postal Service for the big announcement today, the Postal Service Board of Governors, and of course, this initiative's Executive Director. Give Tina Smith a round of applause, as well as Mike. Thank you. Great job. It is a real privilege to be here with all of you to just share for a few minutes during the Lunar New Year celebration and take this opportunity to swear in 13 extraordinary Americans as commissioners of the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I was looking through the list of men and women that will take the oath today, and they represent some of the most accomplished Asian Americans in this country, and they will continue to guide the development of policies that will expand opportunities. And so we'll have them all up here in a minute, but give them a big round of applause right now, will you please? Congratulations and thank you. Now, while we gather here and we celebrate the immense contributions of Asian Americans, I know the hearts of many who are gathered here and those that you represent across the United States are with the Chinese families that are being impacted. 26 different provinces enduring now the impact of the coronavirus, and at present there have been over 60 deaths. At this hour, more than 3,000 have contracted the disease globally, including 5 confirmed cases in the United States of America. President Trump made it clear today that we are in close communication with China, and he has offered to President Xi the assistance of the United States of America, and we stand ready to help the people of China confront the coronavirus. And to my fellow Americans, I want to assure you that our administration has taken strong action to deal with this virus. The CDC is following an aggressive plan that will enable us to identify potential cases. As I mentioned, there's 5 confirmed cases in the United States so far. We're already conducting screening at 20 American airports, and they're the airports that receive 90% of all passengers from China. And any passengers who are ill will receive additional screening. The State Department has issued a Level 4 travel advisory for Wuhan, which makes it clear that no American should travel to Wuhan while this virus continues to have impact. And so let me say once again, here in our country, we're taking strong steps to see to the health and the well-being of the American people. But as President Trump made clear today, the United States of America stands ready to assist the people of China and around the world as they deal with this virus. And you might make a note for anyone in your sphere of influence who would have questions. You can go to cdc.gov/coronavirus for the latest information and the action of the United States. But the people of China are in the prayers of the American people, and we will stand with them, and we will take the actions necessary to protect the American people. So thank you for allowing me to address that. We gather here this afternoon, and frankly, with people around the world in the midst of the Lunar New Year celebration. And It includes millions of Americans who will celebrate the Lunar New Year, and it's a great privilege for me to be able to join you in this particular moment. And this year, we've got a lot to celebrate. For one thing, how about the 2020 Lunar New Year stamp? I've thanked him already, but Mike Duncan and Lou Grossman of the Postal Service, thank you. I guess this is a tradition of issuing a Lunar New Year stamp. It's a small tribute to the indispensable contributions that Asian Americans have played throughout the history of this country, and this year's stamp is one more emblematic example of us celebrating that tradition. And this year, I'm proud to report, under the leadership of President Donald Trump, as the secretaries have no doubt already reflected, Asian Americans are prospering like never before, and the American economy is booming. In fact, Americans of Asian and Pacific Island descent are the fastest growing group in America, growing by nearly 3/4 in just 15 years and expected to double over the next 40 years. And in fact, according to the Census Bureau, household income for Asian Americans is now 40% higher than the national average and rising fast. The American economy is soaring, and Asian Americans are driving capital investment and growth and job creation in cities and towns, large and small, all across the land. Over the summer, I'm told that Asian American unemployment hit the lowest level ever recorded, and it's been under 3% for the better part of a year. It's an incredible record of success of the American dream. And with the help of the commissioners that we will swear in today, I know the best is yet to come for Asian Americans and those of Pacific Island descent. You know, it's a remarkable group. I could literally go through the bios of all of the people that will swear in today, but you really come from literally every walk of life. Small business owners like Jan Lei Low of Nevada, entrepreneurs like Grace Lee of Michigan, public servants like Governor Eddie Calvo of Guam and Michelle Steele of California, just to name a few. You all represent an extraordinary accomplishment in your own lives and your willingness to come together to participate in this important effort. It's only going to make it more possible for more Asian Americans and those with Pacific Island backgrounds to be able to prosper and enjoy the American dream. And so with that, I want to say thank you and congratulations. Congratulations to all of those that who will become commissioners today. And I want to thank you for serving your country. I want to thank you for giving back. Each one of you in your own stories has lived the American dream, and you're living it now. And by your participation in the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, you demonstrate that you want to see more. You want to see more Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders live that very same dream for their betterment and the betterment of the United States of America. And so I thank you for your service, and God bless you. With that, I'll ask all the commissioners to join me on stage, and the secretaries will also stand, and they got lots of tape up here in case you don't know where you're supposed to stand.
Secretary Ross. Right behind Secretary Ross. You're the tall one. Good job.
That's right. Thank you. Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I shall say, I state your name, do solemnly swear.
I solemnly swear
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely
Without any mental reservation.
without any mental reservation
Or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion,
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
the duties of the office that I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Commissioner.
The Vice President.
All right, here we go. Okay, all right, everybody, eyes forward. All right, everyone, look here, please. These are great Americans. One more round of applause. Thank you. Oh, smile. I promise you it is. What a great group of people. This is an old friend. Young friend. I'm an old friend. I'm an old friend. Good catch. Oh, I promise you we will. I promise you. What? Keep up the good work, okay? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Yep. You can sit there. You can sit there. You have my permission. You can sit there. That's me. That's me. You can sit there. Just sit. Okay. Hi, if everyone can please settle down. We are so incredibly honored that the Vice President could join us for the swearing in. That was just so very special. You can all just give another round of applause for the Vice President of the United States. And thank you to Secretary Chow, Secretary of Transportation. She had to go off to another incredibly important meeting. So thank you so much for her being with us today as well, as co-chair of the commission initiative. And now I have the honor of introducing my boss, Secretary Wilbur L. Ross, Jr., who was sworn in by Vice President Mike Pence as the 39th Secretary of Commerce on February 28, 2017. Secretary Ross is the principal voice of business in the Trump administration, ensuring that U.S. entrepreneurs and businesses have the tools that they need to create jobs and economic opportunity. Secretary Ross is the former chairman and chief strategy officer of W.L. Ross & Co., LLC, and has over 55 years of investment banking and private equity experience. He has restructured over $400 billion of assets in the airline, apparel, auto parts, banking, beverage, chemical, credit card, electric utility, food service, furniture, home building, insurance, marine transport. A number of industries, just some of those to list. Secretary Ross has been chairman or lead director of more than 100 companies operating in more than 20 different countries. Named by Bloomberg Markets as one of the 50 most influential people in global finance, Secretary Ross is the only person elected to both the Private Equity Hall of Fame and the Turnaround Management Hall of Fame. President Kim Dae-jung awarded Secretary Ross a medal for helping South Korea during its financial crisis, and in November 2014, the Emperor of Japan awarded him the Order of the Rising Sun, Gold and Silver Star. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur L. Ross.
Thank you. Well, I thank Tina for that great introduction, and I'm very happy to participate in today's Lunar New Year celebration with everyone involved in the White House Initiative on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I'm also pleased to co-chair this initiative with our esteemed Transportation Secretary, Elaine Chao. This initiative aims to positively impact the lives of the fastest growing minority population in America. Many thanks also to Vice President Mike Pence, Labor Secretary Scalia, USPS Chairman Mike Duncan, and the initiative's new Executive Director for joining us here today. A warm welcome to each member of the President's Advisory Commission on Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, and congratulations on your appointment. That swearing in was the most fun since my own. We will work with you to develop actionable recommendations for President Trump and his team. We'll also join you at the AAPI Business Summit during Asian American Heritage Month in May. Finally, I thank Henry Childs, National Director of the Minority Business Development Agency, for spearheading today's ceremony. Before I begin, I suggest we pause for just a moment in sympathy with the coronavirus victims. The Lunar New Year celebrates the lengthening days, the warming sun, and the prospects for a new season of growth. It is observed by many Asian countries and cultures and by millions of Asians throughout the world, and especially here in the United States. Americans have a special reason to like the Year of the Rat, and one that you may not be familiar with. Our founding father, George Washington, was born in an earlier Year of the Rat. How many of you knew that? I must confess, he was not Asian American, but he would have been if he could have. That new postage stamp commemorating the Year of the Rat is beautiful. It really looks like a true zodiac creature deserving of our attention. And I'm told that one myth is that the Jade Emperor staged a race to his party among the zodiac animals, which the rat won by tricking the ox. You can tell me if that's really the true story, but it is true. The rat is number one and the ox is number two. The Year of the Rat is regarded as a year of renewal, and that is certainly the case this year as we celebrate new chapters in our economic relationships with China, Japan, Korea, Canada, Mexico, and hopefully others. The new U.S.-Japan trade agreement and the U.S.-Japan digital trade agreement both became effective on January 1st. They will create new jobs, expand two-way investment, and promote fairness in our trade relationship with Japan. The Phase 1 China trade deal signed earlier this month and the renegotiated trade agreement with South Korea are all part of the President's Indo-Pacific strategy. And the deal with China impacts our more than $2 trillion in bilateral trade. Last May, I had the privilege of joining President Trump in the Oval Office for the signing ceremony of the executive order on the economic empowerment of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. That executive order reestablished the White House initiative on AAPI, along with this advisory commission and an interagency working group. We're developing strategies for new private and public sector AAPI partnerships. We're analyzing the economies of the Pacific Island territories and providing recommendations to help them diversify and grow their industries and their communities. Since the president was elected, more Asian Americans are working than ever before, with unemployment touching an all-time low of only 2.1% last year, far below the nationwide average for all Americans. That's an amazing statistic. The AAPI people are also famously entrepreneurial. More than a third of all institutionally funded venture capital investments have an Asian American founder. And of the 1.1 million minority-owned companies in the United States, more than half, 560,000, are owned by Asian Americans. AAPI-owned businesses employ 3.6 million Americans and contribute over $700 billion annually to the U.S. GDP. But our work isn't done. Increasing workforce participation is a focus, not only for the Advisory Commission, as you've heard, but also for the White House National Council for the American Worker, which I co-chair with Ivanka Trump. Currently, only 63.6% of working-age Americans are engaged in the workforce, just a slightly higher number than the overall rate of 63.2%. That's not enough, and we hope to improve it. It really means that there are 36.4% of Asian Americans not engaged in the workforce. We have to help change that statistic. There are 6.8 million jobs that are vacant throughout the country, and we need good people to fill all of them. Also, this year's decennial census will better demonstrate the increasing size and scope of the Asian American and Pacific Islander populations in our country. Census Bureau is doing more than ever to ensure that everyone in the AAPI community is fully and accurately counted in the upcoming census. We'll be running census ads in addition to in English in the following Asian languages: Chinese Cantonese, Chinese Mandarin, Japanese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Tagalog. We'll have additional language assistance guides in almost 24 Asian languages, including Hindi, Urdu, Nepali, Tamil, and Thai. So we're really making a concerted effort to be sure we give full credit to the portion of the population that constitutes your communities. Already, the Census Bureau's partnership program is working with more than 6,000 Asian American community organizations. And additionally, we've onboarded more than 85 partnership staff to engage directly with Asian American communities in their native languages. Multicultural experts and public relations firms have helped the Census Bureau create culturally specific English and non-English promotional tools to build awareness and encourage AAPI participation in the 2020 census. To illustrate, let's now watch a short public service announcement that is currently being viewed in Hawaii and the Pacific Islands. This video can also be seen nationwide so that Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders, no matter where they live in the United States, will be encouraged to participate in the census. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are also becoming politically active, and this being counted is a good start toward that. So can we roll the tape?
Pacific people have the power to shape our own future and contribute to a greater cause.
The 2020 census is coming soon.
It's a population count that happens every 10 years.
It recognizes everyone in your home,
including children of all ages.
It informs how billions of dollars in public funding are spent each year.
It's confidential. You can respond online, by phone, or by mail. It's our right to be counted.
Shape our future. Start here.
Paid for by U.S. Census Bureau.
So please encourage everyone you can reach out to participate. It helps, as you know, with federal appropriations. It helps with the allocation of congressional seats. So it's a very, very important thing. And it's really your civic duty as an American to participate. So I hope you will. I thank you with that, and I hope you all have a joyful and successful Lunar New Year. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Secretary Ross, for those remarks, and we look forward to working with him, the Commission and the initiative. You might all be wondering what happened to Derek Kahn. I'm so sorry that charismatic Derek has been replaced by me for the rest of the program. So I'm it for emceeing the rest of the program. He's been pulled into a very important meeting. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Secretary Eugene Scalia, who currently serves as the U.S. Secretary of Labor. He previously served as the Solicitor of Labor, the Department of Labor's principal legal officer, working for Secretary of Labor Elaine L. Chao as a member of President George W. Bush's administration. As solicitor, he pursued initiatives to protect low-wage workers, reduce unnecessary regulatory burdens, and enhance enforcement of workplace safety laws. He worked closely with Secretary Chao on matters such as the department's efforts seeking to recover the losses of employees and retirees in Enron's pension plans and resolving a costly labor dispute at the West Coast ports. Prior to his confirmation as Secretary of Labor, Secretary Scalia was a lawyer with a national reputation as an expert in labor and employment law and in administrative and regulatory law. Secretary Scalia served as a speechwriter to U.S. Secretary of Education William J. Bennett during the Reagan administration. During the administration of President George H.W. Bush, Scalia received the Department of Justice's Edmund J. Randolph Award while serving as a special assistant to Attorney General William P. Barr. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the Secretary of Labor, Eugene Scalia.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you very much. Tina, the charismatic Tina, thank you for that introduction. And it's been a great pleasure to join the Vice President here, as well as Secretaries Ross and Chow. As you heard, I had the privilege of working for Secretary Chow when she served as Secretary of Labor. She was a terrific Labor Secretary. In fact, I would go so far as to say one of the two best. And she was a model for a lot of what I want to do for the department. Also, for decades, she's been an unsurpassed champion for expanding opportunities for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders. I know we're all grateful for her efforts. Well, Happy New Year, everybody, and thank you for joining us at the White House. No matter what the culture, the coming of a new year is an occasion for renewal and time to look with excitement and optimism toward the future. We certainly have a lot to be excited and optimistic about today. First, we look forward to the work of this President's Advisory Commission. To those who were just sworn in today, thank you for your willingness to serve. Your experience and insights will be of great value to the President as we strive to ensure that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders participate even more deeply in the economic life of our country, for their benefit and for the benefit of our country as a whole. We're also thankful for the President's leadership and for his executive order last year establishing both the Commission and the initiative, and of course we're grateful for the leadership of the initiative co-chairs, Secretaries Ross and Chow. Second, as we look forward to this new year, there's great reason for excitement and optimism about the U.S. economy and the opportunities that economy provides to American workers and entrepreneurs. You've heard some of this earlier today, but it's always worth repeating. Unemployment in December was at 3.5%. That's a 50-year low. It marks 22 straight months. Thank you. That marks 22 straight months, nearly 2 years of unemployment at or below 4%, a number that we thought we might never achieve. We've created 6.7 million jobs since January 2017. And by that, I mean the American people have created those 6.7 million jobs. And last quarter, nearly 75% of the people who filled new jobs were people who came off the sidelines from our economy, people who actually weren't even counted among the ranks of the unemployed because their engagement with the workforce had been so minimal. They filled 75% of the jobs that we filled in the last quarter of last year. As also happens when unemployment is low, wages are rising, and they're rising faster for lower paid workers. For example, wages for workers over age 25 who are in the bottom 10% in income, those wages rose by at least 5% annually in the first 12 quarters, the first 3 years of this administration. That compares to 2.3% wage growth in the 4 years immediately prior. Last week, I had the honor to join Secretaries Ross and Chow and the President at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. The President said there, he proclaimed himself an optimist, you may have read, and he said, quote, "I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom the likes of which the world has never seen before. We've regained our stride, we discovered our spirit, and reawakened the powerful machinery of American enterprise." The President is right. We are in an extraordinary economic moment, one that results from the policies that he and the Vice President have pursued regarding tax cuts, ending costly and unnecessary regulations, and seeking fairer free trade. The state of our economy, then, is great cause for optimism as we enter this new year. Third, as we enter this new year, we can be excited about the contributions of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders to that economy and their contributions to the nation. And again, we've already heard some of these really remarkable figures earlier today, but to repeat a couple, the most recent census data we have shows that there are nearly 2 million U.S. businesses owned by Asian Americans. And that data is from the last census, so I think we all know the number today is even higher than 2 million businesses. And then last year, we know Asian American unemployment hit an all-time low, a figure substantially below that of the working population as a whole. And Asian American unemployment has been below 3% since April of last year, for getting close to a full year. Well, you know, by one view, my heritage is quite different from many of you in the room. My forebears came from Ireland and Italy, the other side of the world from many of your families. But we all came here. We all came to this country. We came here because of the freedom it offers and the boundless opportunity and rewards it offers hard work and individual enterprise. And we are united today by love of this country and appreciation for what it offers. I'll quote my father, the great Justice Antonin Scalia, who was himself an immigrant's son, and he once put it this way. He said, quote, "One of the strengths of this great country, one of the reasons we really are a symbol of light and hope for the world, is the way in which people of different faiths, different races, different national origins have come together and learned not merely to tolerate one another, but to respect and love one another." Those are sentiments we all share. Another great thing about this country is knowing we can make it even better. The chance that we have to fully and deeply engage in the civic life of this country is one of the greatest rewards of the freedom and the opportunity that it gives us. Making this country an even better place is ultimately the purpose of this commission. For instance, searching for ways to broaden access for Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders who are employers and in their communities to economic resources and opportunities, and ensuring inclusion of Asian Americans and Pacific Island workers through better recruitment, training, and other career development opportunities, including those that we have at the Department of Labor. Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders are rightly celebrated for the exceptional contributions they've made to this country and for the way that so many have come to exemplify the American dream. But that doesn't obscure to us the strides we still have to make, which is why we look forward with excitement and optimism to the work of this commission. So again, Happy New Year, and thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you today. All the best.